All right, hey, as usual, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Brian. I'm the owner of this 2019 Infiniti Q50S Signature Edition. It says on the rear trunk, Q50S Signature Edition, just to get that out there. It shares features with the Sport model, and it's missing some things that the Sport model has, but it has probably about half the things the Sport model has, just to clarify, because some people get upset about that, but that's the way it is. That's what the car's emblems signify. So just get that out of the way. Okay, so what I'm going to talk to you today is going to be the R1 rotors and brake pads. I purchased them for my car probably about 6 or 7 months ago. It's been a while. But I jacked the video up online. I was on YouTube and I didn't like the first part of it, but it had been up for months and months and months. It had 600, 700 views. And I went and edited it through YouTube, and it just totally jacked it up. So it got the sound way off. And obviously when you save it, that saves it, and the only way you can fix it is remove it or leave it up, and it was horrible with the sound being off. So I'm going to just touch base on the R1 concept drilled and slotted Geomet rotors, and then I got the R1 concepts ceramic brake pads. And so my car was pretty much almost brand new when I swapped these out. My stock brakes, I'm going to attribute this to, they weren't bedded in, but bedded in correctly. I did not bed them in, but maybe it was partially not the bedding in and just partially the brakes that were on here and the brake pads. It's very possible. But when I bought these R1s and put them on, in the pads, I followed the bedding in instructions. I looked all over online and read multiple places and got my best roundabout idea of what I needed to do. And so I broke really hard. I went to a big open parking lot, and I went about 10 to about 15 times. And I went from about 50 down to about 10 every time, hard on the brakes. And it heated these things up crazy hot. I mean, I literally could put my hands over here and it would burn my hands. It was actually too hot for my hands to put close to the wheel. And then the rotors had actually heated up the wheel, so it was like an oven. So I did that really well. I bedded them in, but I didn't come to a stop and then let, with the brake, my foot on the brake, and then, because that can cause some warping after your rotor's all hot and you come to a stop at a light and you keep your foot on the brake. That unevenly dissipates heat from the rotor, and that's what causes typically some warping. So when you get new rotors and new pads, you definitely want to research. You want to, how to brake, how to bed them in. I just a generalizing of 5 websites that I trusted that seemed to have good information, and I just took all they were saying and just generalized it, and that's what I did. But to make this video not nearly as long as the other one, which I had a problem with, I'm going to just basically lift my car up on the jack, lift it up. I'm going to remove my wheel because I just need to inspect my brakes anyways, because now I got about 7,200 miles on my car. When I put them on there, it was maybe 1,000 miles. So I just want to inspect, make sure everything's good. I was going to do that anyway, so in making this video, I thought it'd be a good thing just to video it again. But then we'll take a closer look at how they've worn, and then possibly, I'll turn the wheel and we'll take a look at the pads. I'm not guaranteeing that, but since we're there, I'm just going to take a look at that so you can see. And then I'll wrap this up and I'll tell you what I have found and what I like about them, what I don't like about them, after we kind of get a closer look. So with that said, I'm going to dive into removing this wheel. So here we go. Okay, for shits and giggles, yep, I said that, shits and giggles. This is what I do. I lost my other one. This is just a piece of board, 2x4. I put it in a vise. Let me see if I can just get it undone without dropping it. I cut it out with my saw. There's my saw. And that way, this is just a piece of wood, and it inserts right down here under where there is a ledge. The lighting is not going to be good, but okay, see, let me see here. The ledge right here, it's probably not going to be focused, but it's not the main emphasis of the video. This slotted piece fits into that piece there, and it just adds support, and it's just a good way of doing that with the jack. I'm just going to be, just self-explanatory. This just fits in here like that, and then you raise the car up. That's just a good way of doing it. So thought I would share that. So on with the video. All right, so you can see it's hot as hell in here, so I'm sweating, I'm dirty. I had to cut with my saw, I got sawdust all over me, but I've jacked the car up. I'm getting the camera view. I'm gonna raise it up just enough to get my tire off the ground. There we go. There's my support that I did. I put another board under it just so that it's not wobbly. A little bit wider board. That is perfect structurally. Not going to damage anything. It's just how I like to do it. So now I'm just going to do this on the jack. I do have these stands that I can put under there, but I'm not going to go to that extreme right now. So on to taking the wheel off. I'm going to get the tools together and then lay them there on my towel, and then I'm going to do that so you can see. This is all just helpful stuff if you never remove the tire, and I'll go over, even though I'm not going to install the brakes again and the pads, it's very, very easy. I mean, it's so easy that I could switch the pads out without even, probably opening my eyes. It's very, very easy to do. This is not a big brake car. That's one of the things that this model does not share with the Sport Edition, or the Red Sport, is these are the smaller brakes, and they are fine. They are perfectly fine for me. I'm not road racing this car. I'm not doing any of that. So they work really, really well. So I'll touch more on that, but these are the smaller brakes. I guess it comes with the 8.5 inch wheels instead of the 9.5 wheels. I know that Red Sport's probably staggered, but not to get into that. But that's some of the difference, and it doesn't have paddle shifters. So it's minimal differences, but yeah, that's one of them. So it has a small brake. So I'll get my tools lined out, I'll put them right here, and then we'll get to the next step. All right, one thing I forgot to do was loosen the lug nuts. You got to have the car typically on the ground to do that. So I'm going to just back that off just a hair, let it sit just a little bit. I'm just going to use my larger ratchet with a little bit of an extension, and this is a 21 millimeter socket. It's plenty of torque. I mean, these are torqued on 100 foot-pounds, and I verified that with Infiniti. So 100 foot-pounds for these to be torqued on, or torqued back on. So we got a righty-tighty, lefty-loosey towards the back of the car. We're going to just loosen them up. Or actually, easier, well, I got you here. I forgot. It's been a while since I pulled these off. And I want to sport my this is, I can't remember, it's the cheaper brand, it's not the Icon, but it's the Pittsburgh. This will last me my whole entire life, plus my children's life. It was $22, $19, something sick like that. You cannot not have one of these. So just put this on here. I mean, it's like butter. Just loosen them up enough. Don't take them off. Just be careful not to scratch up your rim or your wheel. Just take them off like this. Just can't remember which ones I've done. Okay. Remember, you don't want to take them off too much. You don't want to create any structural damage to the wheel while it's sitting there in the threads. Okay? Then I got my wheel lock right here. Got to dry my sweat. All right, just put this on your wheel lock. Super simple. loosen up just a hair. All right. Raise it back up. Not too tall, doesn't need to go high, just enough to spin the wheel, take it off. Switch tools, and then proceed to take the nuts off. I've got a video, another video, past video, where I talk about these Firestone Indy 500 tires. I had them on the front and the rear. I just got them on the front of my car right now. I had them on the rear, but I've moved to a drag radial, much better tire in the rear. I just left these on the front because they match the Nittos perfectly at 27 something, I think it's 27 equal, 27 inch total outer diameter. So they matched up 100% perfectly. So yeah, Firestones. Go look for those if you're interested in Firestones and what you're going to use them for. I'll talk about that. So I'm going to take these off, not keep it on the video for length, and I'll come back when I have the tire off. All right, so I got the tire off. Damn, this tire is heavy. This wheel and tire, man, I usually gauge a little high, but man, I'm thinking freaking 65 pounds. It's heavy. So I'm getting new wheels because of weight and the dimensions that I need in the rear. I'm getting a 10-inch wide instead of an 8.5-inch wide tire. So I had to go new wheels to match the front and back and forth, you know. But this is super, super, super heavy. But here I go. So I don't get in my own light, my own artificial light. Here are my rotors. I'm gonna dry my face, dry my arms. All right, I'm going to bring you in for a closer look, and I'm going to bring my light down here. Let me see here. Man, I could make a video about, I have actually, this light. This is, man, I won't even get into it, so it'll be too long. All right, so let me, okay. All right, here's my rotors. I mean, there is some rust on there, but this portion is not rusted. That's the Geomet coating. And this portion is just brake dust all over it. I mean, I clean them. As soon as you wash these with water and they sit, you will get rust on this surface. It'll rust until you drive the car. But here's how they look. And these carbon pads, I'll start the review. The carbon pads they're high. They put carbon, or whatever the content of the pads are, it goes everywhere. So it's not low dust, it's high dust. Probably not the highest dust, but if you're looking for no dust pads, don't go these carbon R1 concept pads. But they stop really, really well. The discs seem to be wearing well, other than just dirty. And then basically to remove these and take them off is just, I think, 1, 2 on the back of the bigger bolts, and they are a little bit larger. I think I'll have to get what size those are, but you can figure that out. And then you take those out, and then this whole brake, will come up, and then you can flip out your pads. These are not the big brakes, so there are two pistons over here forcing against a flat face right here, and that's the advantage of the bigger brakes are there's 2 pistons over here and then 2 pistons over here, and they squeeze together, where this is squeezing from the side to a face. And so that's one of the major differences of the big brakes versus the small brakes. And these are Akebonos, as you can see, Akebono. So they're good brakes. So that's what that is. But yeah, so I mean, there you can see the pads. I mean, I'll clean these up and make sure everything's a good mating surface before I put the wheel back on. But I'm going to do just a little inspection without the video on the backside, make sure nothing's rubbing, everything looks good, bolts are tight. But there you go. There's the Geomet R1 Concepts, drilled and slotted. They were actually cheaper than just going the drilled or one of the others or slotted at the time I bought these. So it was like $40 more, so for just one over both of them. So I was like, heck, I'm not going to tear these brake rotors up doing time lapse in a parking lot, club sport racing. So I just went these, and I'm very happy with them. So let me do my little inspection, but that's what it looks like. And I'm happy with them, and they're great. But I'll touch more on that here in just a minute. Hey, I'll share real quick. Another really good light that I have. I got this before anyone I'd seen any videos or anyone on YouTube. I got this at Christmas time at Lowe's, and they were in their special discount section for Christmas gifts. But you've got, I don't want to shine it in the camera, but you've got an LED light here, and it swivels, and it's got a magnet so you can stand it. And then it's got a black light if you want to check your sheets at the hotel, and then you got your regular front flashlight. But this is really, really cool, so you can bend around and you can see things. Yeah, so I got that back in December of 2019. But man, I like lights, so just thought I'd share that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and inspect and take a look at the insides of these. I torqued everything on. The bolts, I got to remember I'd written them down. I think these were 25 pounds. There's not a lot of torque, even though I think those are 17s in the rear. Actually, let me see. The two big main bolts, and this may be for 2019, may be something that's different because, let me see here. Hang tight. Okay, I got a 20. I just can't remember. This video is going to be long, and I apologize. Okay, so I was correct. On the other ones, they're, and it may be the smaller ones are 17s, but this one, the two big ones that really structurally sealed, put that to the suspension is a 22. So a 22 millimeter socket. So you take those two off in the back. It's easy to see. And then or you can do one and loosen the top. And then this will pivot up. A lot of people will pivot this up so they can change the pads really easy. They'll just drop out when you pull the clips out. And then you just put your brakes in, make sure that you don't step on the brake and squish those, or you'll have to get a device that will, or if you really wear your pads down and the pressure, then to expand them, you can buy a tool, a ratchet tool that will expand them. Pretty much there's all kinds of ways to do that without buying the tool, but tools are nice. So everything in the back looks good. Pads look pretty good. Looks like my grease, my anti-vibration lubrication grease, the specified synthetic grease that I put on there is not really holding up right there. Let's see. Everything looks good, and I put a little bit taller profile tires on these 19-inch wheels instead of the 40. The fronts are the 45s to match the Firestones in the rear. So everything looks good as far as. Oh man, looks like I might be missing. No, the screws are all in there. Looks like everything is good. Suspension looks good. No rubbing on anything. So you could clean this up while you have this out if you wanted to, just to clean this up if you're a perfectionist like I am. Just get some brake cleaner. I'm actually running really low on that, or the can has a little bit left in it and it's out of air because it's I've had it for years. But everything looks good, so I don't know what else to tell you except that let me turn this light off. I'm burning a bunch of batteries, but I'm really pretty happy with these rotors. Make sure you got one problem. You got to make sure that one of these lights is not on, because it's easy to leave that on and set it down, and then your batteries will run out. Let me sit right here. So hopefully I'm in the picture. I'm really happy with these. I'm just going to do the review before I put the tire back on. My inspection looks good. I'm really, really happy. It gave me a lot more bite than the O.E.M pads and rotors that were on here. This gave me more bite. It's definitely, if I had to put a number on it, 20% more braking force that I could feel. One of the reasons why I wanted to upgrade these, they weren't for looks. I don't buy things for looks, typically. Looks can come along with the performance gain, but I've got to have the performance gain. So, the other brakes, just real quick, a story. I was just on the highway and someone stopped right in front of me on the freaking highway out of nowhere. And man, it was really, really close. And I wasn't following behind them, and I stepped on the brakes slowly and had to get on them really aggressively. And man, the car just did not want to stop. So, man, I immediately jumped to these, and I am 100% more sure that these brakes, in that incident would clearly stop me before, where I wouldn't have gotten into that panic zone. These brakes, I'm really happy with them with these smaller brakes. More power to the people that get the larger ones or the sport model that have them. Or, I just don't know about $1,200 in upgrading, to the aftermarket or buying bigger brakes used online. I know you can get them cheaper, but they are quite expensive. But so everything looks good. I'm really, really stoked with the brakes, and it has probably a lot to do with the pads, the ceramic pads. And like I said, they get the wheels really, really dirty within, 10, 20 minutes of driving around. My nice polished chrome wheels look gray. So they have different pads, so you can shop those and look and see what kind of brake dust they leave. But that's just my experience with the ceramic pads. So other than that, you can go 2-piece or the 3-piece rotors. Again, that's like another, I don't know, what is it, $700,000 or something. I can't remember my pricing right offhand, but damn, there's ways to spend that money otherwise. As the closer you get to the rotating of the center of the mass, that becomes less important. So the outside of the wheel, you get a ball on a string and you spin the ball. You spin the ball on a string, a tennis ball, and it spins real fast. But the further away you move it out from the rotating of the mass, the slower the ball on the string goes, and the heavier it gets. You spin it, you don't have to use a lot of force to really spin it around really, really fast when it's 6 inches from the center mass. But when you get out longer, then you start getting that wobble to your hands. So that's something to consider about the math and about the wheels. So saving 4 pounds per rotor. I'm not precise on that weight savings, but that's just not high on my priority to do. So just stick with these rotors. Get some really cool lightweight wheels, and man, I think that you will be rolling with that. But I would highly recommend these. They have not warped. I've had to stop on them pretty hard from 120, 140, and all the times that I've raced the car, and it seems like you never have enough room. And the drag strip, where man, the end of that drag strip always came super, super quickly. So I don't know how cars going 200 and 300 mile an hour stop for that. I mean, they have really, really good brakes, and they are hard on their brakes with the addition of the parachute, that drastically helps that. But other than that, I really like the brakes. Again, this was to replace another video that I made that good content, but it was really, really long, and then I effed it up editing it on YouTube or trying to, and bought setup. So I thought I'd make another one again while I'm kind of just checking these out to make sure everything looks good. So other than that, thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe if my content's helpful. It's enjoying in any kind of way, or if I'm a good person to listen to, or I'm horrible to listen to. Either way, I appreciate you tuning in. Look forward to my next video. I try to make them every 2, 3, 4 days if I can. It's just so hot. So other than that, have a great night, a good day, and if it's afternoon, then you have a good afternoon. So I appreciate it.